Hi, and welcome to Let's Get Clinical. Tips from the CRA Helper. Here is your host, Elizabeth Waddell.
Hi, Elizabeth here, and welcome to episode 4, where we will be discussing part 2 of travel. By the end of this episode, you will feel more confident as you start your traveling career journey, and you will learn some travel don'ts from my previous experience. Now let's jump in. Are you ready? Okay, so what about packing as a clinical research associate? I'm sure you can handle what clothes you will need, but here are some other side tips. Decide ahead of time if you're going to be checking a bag or not. For me, this depended on the type of visit, if it was a high enrolling site, and the amount of days on the road that week. So let me explain what I mean here. So I'm a paper girl. I started, I've been monitoring, since 2001. Well, 2002, I started on the road, but 2001, I was an in-house CRA. But, I'm a paper girl. I like to write things down, write my notes down by hand. If I have a checklist, I want to check it off. So for my sites, like my site files, my personal site files that I use to assist me in monitoring at my sites, I had paper. And when I wanted to review my previous trip report, to prepare me before going out, I had it by paper so that I could check off the action items that I needed to follow up on, at that particular visit. Or if I'm printing off, tools that I need in order to assist me in drug accountability or the trial master file, and I'll get into more of that stuff later, I wanted to print off the paper. Again, it's just easier for me. I can spread, have everything at my fingertips and I can check things off. So that's why if it was a high enrolling site and the type of visit would play a part if I checked a bag or not. There were times I might have had 2 high enrolling sites right near each other. So if I was going to be gone, say for 4 days that week, 2 days apiece at each site, and there were high enrolling sites, I had pretty good size files, that I had for each site. So that took a lot of, space in my laptop bag. And also I had, all the different supplies that I would need to assist me in my visit. I had to have room for my laptop and my charger and all that good stuff. So my laptop bag was pretty full. And then I also had my purse. So in traveling, you can only carry, have one carry-on and, if you're traveling by air, one carry-on and a purse or, a personal bag. So I couldn't fit any of my clothes in there. So and then if I was going to be gone for 4 days, I needed more than just one outfit. So in that case, I would check a bag. I would check a bag, and that helps in your packing because I'll get to the 311 rule and liquids and things like that. So you want to know ahead of time if you're checking a bag or not. Now, if it was like a pre-study visit or an initiation visit, that was going to be shorter, where I'd leave the night before. I'd, do the pre-study visit, site initiation visit the next day. And then I would fly out the next night. I'm only gone like one night. There's really no files for these sites because you're either doing a site, you're either doing a visit to see if the site's going to be selected for the study, or you're initiating the site and training them, getting them ready to be activated and be able to start enrolling, once they're initiated and activated. So those 2 visits don't take as much time. You don't have huge files, and, usually you're gone only one night unless you have a lot of visits, of those type of visits in the area. So if that was the case, I could fit clothes and whatever I needed to be gone the one night, in addition to what I needed for work and my laptop, my charger bag. So then I didn't need to check a bag. So then I had to really be careful on how I packed any liquids that I was bringing. And I'll get to that point when we get to like some of the TSA rules and requirements. Now, there's those of you that do things electronically and not paper and old school like me. And electronic is awesome. You can have spreadsheets, regarding the contents of, say, the regulatory binder at the site, any notes that you have in your review. And also, it's really cool with OneNote that we have now, because you can make like little notebooks with tabs and everything in that system. So there's a lot of neat electronic things at your fingertips now. So if that's the case, then you don't have to worry about this packing tip that I have, because then you will always be able to have carry-ons, because you'll have plenty of room since everything's electronic and you won't have actual paper files that take up space. So this is another option as well. And I will say, I was always super excited, especially when I'm getting in late at night. Like if I had a flight getting in after midnight or I'm in at 1 a.m. And I was always super excited when I'm like, yes, I could skip baggage claim. And so I would take my, get my purse, get my carry-on and head right to my car. So I have to admit, it is nice when you don't have to check bags. And lastly, with no bag to check, you can actually check in for your flight online and then just pull up your boarding pass on your phone when you go to security. So again, that's another time saver. You don't have to worry about going to the ticket counter and checking in your bag. And the reason I went, again, on and on about the checking versus no checking and knowing ahead of time, let's jump into the reason why, that 311 rule. So what is it? If you're not used to flying for personal travel, you may not really be familiar with what this is. So I'm going to go ahead and explain what the 311 rule is. So the 311 rule is regarding liquids, aerosols, gels, creams, and pastes. And what happened was many years ago, and this will actually show, oh my goodness, how long I've been on the road. I actually had found out about it when I was at a site. And I happened to be monitoring in a room. It was a nice size room, and it actually had 3 big desks in it. So I was monitoring at a desk, and then 2 coordinators had their desk. And one of them was like, oh my gosh, someone actually tried to sneak on a plane, with liquid explosives. And so at that time, they banned all liquids. Even coming through security at all. So they were so sweet, and they were helping me search through my bag, trying to get rid of all explosives. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Trying to get rid of all liquids out of my bag. And I remember throwing away saline solution, for my contacts and things like that. And I was like, oh no. But so we had to get rid of all my liquids. And actually at that time, it was so tight with security that even people couldn't even bring drinks on the plane. They wanted no liquids at all. And then eventually they came out with the 311 rule. So the new rule now is you can bring liquids through security, but it can only be 3 ounces or less. And it has to fit in a quart size Ziploc bag, see-through Ziploc bag, and you can only have 1 of them. So that's where the 311 got its name. And I will point out that someone, I've seen people, they've tried to go through, they might have a 5-ounce container, and maybe it's only halfway full, and they'll think, well, there's at least, there's only 3 ounces of liquid in there because it's halfway gone. But usually security is pretty strict where they're like, no, it has to be a 3-ounce bottle. So just definitely want to point that out. And it's really nice. A lot of the drugstores and things like that now have little travel kits that have all the right size bottles that you need. So even if you have to pour something in, they'll to a little 3-ounce bottle that you can bring. There's little travel packets and stuff that you can bring. So it's really nice how a lot of the stores, have these that make things easier. So that's why I wanted to bring up about the whole 311 rule and knowing if you're going to check a bag ahead of time or not, because that helps with your packing. Because being a girl, I can have a big old bottle of hairspray. So if I'm going to check a bag, then I can pack that one. But if not, then I better go get some travel ones to bring along. So that's why I went on my big long spiel about checking versus carrying on a bag. And it's so funny. Speaking of my long spiels, I went on a trip with my mom and my stepdad, and I did the same spiel that I gave to you guys on the 311 rule and the liquids. And I was like, even, and I had room in my Ziploc bag. I was like, just give it to me. Give me your 3-ounce bottles. I'll just stick them all in mine. And there we go. Do you know that my mom, after all of that, actually went through security with a water bottle? And they had to stop her and, have her throw it away. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was just shaking my head. Seriously, I just went through my whole speech. And then my stepdad didn't have his photo ID ready either. So, which is my segue into the next thing to remember to bring is a photo ID. So, you have to have that when traveling in order to get through security. Again, this is something that changed, over the years, since 9/11 actually, because my dad is retired military, and that's how actually I ended up here in Fayetteville. And when we used to take him to the airport to go on trips, we used to be able to, go all the way down with him to the gate and watch him get on his plane. And just after 9/11, all that changed. You can't get through security unless you have a photo ID and your boarding pass. So, so just remember, do not forget that. And always remember to keep it, whenever you're going through, and I know you're in a hurry going through security, just remember to get it back in your wallet, put it up, because you don't want to lose it and have issues getting back home. So just make sure to take your time to be able to put everything up in its place, and then just do a quick check before you leave security. Also, there's a new thing now called Real ID. This is something that's come out. It's a national set of standards that have been set to ensure that our documents, that our identification is consistent across the nation and secure. So I think it was January 2018. Don't quote me, but I want to say around there was like 9 states that came out that had to do this first. And so I think Pennsylvania might have been one of them. And if they didn't have the ID, the real ID from that state, then if you don't have it by the deadline, then your photo ID, like your driver's license, doesn't comply. And you would have to have something like a passport in order to travel in the US. And I was like, that is just so crazy. I live in North Carolina. So for me, I have to get my real ID by October 2020. And I need to make sure to get that done because I don't want to wait till last minute and then have, the DMV flooding with people. So just make sure to check when your state is due and that you have this done. I want to say the last final deadline is October 2020. So you just want to make sure to have, I'm trying to think, there's a certain symbol, I think it might be a star or something that needs to appear on your driver's license. Just check online to see what, how to tell if you have the real ID or not. And then just make sure to get it by the deadline. So I definitely want to, wanted to point this out in order for you to be familiar with some of the changes with TSA. You will find that speaking of TSA, when you go through security, that, if you don't have pre-check, and I'll go over that with what that is in a little bit, you have to, a lot of people joke around like, goodness, I feel like I practically had to get undressed because when you go through security, I mean, you have to, obviously take off your coat, take off your belt, anything that would set off like a metal detector. You have to take off your shoes. You have to, that Ziploc quart size travel bag, and I'm sitting here holding up my hand like you can see me, but you have to actually, you have to put that in your bag to, put that in your bin that has to go through the x-ray machine. You also have to pull out your laptop and stick that in a separate bin that has to go through. So you have to separate all of this stuff in separate bins before you even go through the scanner, either the metal detector or the scanner. So that's why it's so funny. So, again, you don't want to get in a hurry because when you get on the other side and you're putting everything back in your bags, you just want to make sure that you grab your laptop, that you grab, make sure to get your laptop. They sometimes look alike, and you want to make sure that you're not in such a rush that you forget it at security. And that's actually one of my recommendations, is to put like some sort of maybe a business card taped on to your laptop. That way, if God forbid you do leave it, they know it's yours and security can page you and you can come back and grab it. So just make sure that people know it's your laptop. So that's something. So you practically have to get through all of that, just to go through security. Now, if you have TSA PreCheck, that is awesome. And what this is, it's a U.S. government program, and this allows travelers that are deemed low risk by the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, to pass through an expedited security screening at certain U.S. airports that have it. So it is absolutely awesome because when you have that and you go through security, you appreciate it so much because if you have a lightweight jacket, you can keep that on. You can usually keep your shoes on. You can, that liquid bag, you can keep that in your stuff. You don't have to take out your laptop. So it's, and you're in a shorter line. I mean, a lot of times there's barely anybody in it. So it is so awesome. And actually what you do, usually you apply online, you submit an online application, and then schedule an appointment because you do have to go in person. You have like a background check and you have to do fingerprinting and things like that. But then you'll get a number assigned. Once you're approved, you'll get a number assigned. And in addition to all your different airline memberships and hotel memberships, you will have your TSA PreCheck number. So that way, when you're scheduling travel with your company and that travel department, they'll enter that in, and then TSA PreCheck will show up on your boarding pass. And that's something that they'll check before they even let you get in the line. So that is so awesome to have. Most people, if it were me, I would go ahead and get it because I think it's like $85, and you can get it for like, for me, I would want it for personal travel anyway. And then also as I'm doing training visits or wherever I'm at, I would already want to have it. Now, some people decide that they want to wait to see if their company will reimburse it. But sometimes that may take a while because if you're in a training program, you have to finish that. And then you may have to meet certain criteria of traveling before they'll approve it. And so just to be easier, you may just want to do it out of your own pocket. And like I said, it's great for personal travel anyway, so you're not wasting money. So, but again, if it is something you'd rather wait, then check with your company to see if they'll even reimburse for something like that or not. And if they do, you have to get approval first before you can even buy it. So just a little tidbit there. But So I'm kind of going through my little list of little tidbits that I want to share with you. Okay. So, like I said, I was going to be sharing my don'ts, my travel don'ts with you from my personal experiences. So here's a don't. This happened to me while I was on the road. Well, a lot of times I would want to get as much office work as I could. I would get as much as I could done, and I would take a later flight, in the later afternoon, especially if it was somewhere I was familiar with, because I didn't mind getting at night. I knew where I was going. And I was familiar with the area. So sometimes in that case, I'm traveling at night. I might wear a ball cap, flip flops, whatever, I would be comfortable, So thank God on this time I didn't have a ball cap, because I don't know what would have happened with my hair. It would have been, I would have had a helmet head. But this particular trip, I was traveling with, I think I had like a woman's fitted t-shirt type, and like summer white cargo pants and some flip-flops, and was traveling. Well, what happened is I checked my bag, so that's where all my business clothes were. Well, guess what? If you have a tight connection and you're running to get to your connection, you may make the flight, but your bag may not. So I had to go to a site, and thank the Lord it was a site that they knew me. They knew I always dressed professional when I went, and I told them what happened, and they were fine with it. But I had to go to the site dressed in that outfit that I slept in, and it was, it wasn't a business casual outfit. So that was really embarrassing. And oh my gosh, what if it would have been a visit that I would have, been, say, meeting a sponsor there, or what if I would have been, meeting a manager there and they were assessing me, So this is my tip, is if you are going to check a bag, then you want to bring, if you can fit like maybe something like a little business outfit in the bags that you're carrying on with you, just in case your check bag doesn't get to you. So at least you have something to wear that next morning, or just wear. I finally started just travel. I might change comfortable shoes, but I finally just started traveling in my business. Like I would just wear something business. That way, if I had to check a bag, what I had on was just going to have, I would just have a business casual outfit on that I could just wear the next day, just in case my bag didn't make it. So that's that tip that I learned the hard way. Definitely I, make sure, and I'm going to have a little checklist that I'm going to have for you guys, just of little reminders not to forget. But sometimes we get in hurries, and I don't want you to forget your chargers. Make sure you have your laptop and your charger and your phone charger. I've had to find a Verizon, wherever I was, and have to buy a charger, and that gets costly. So, just make sure to pack pack your chargers, pack headphones. That always comes in handy, to have with you on the road. And I always recommend, whenever you're near an open outlet, go ahead and charge your laptops and phone, and your phones, even if they're not, needing to be charged at that time. Go ahead and top it off, because you never know when there's a delay, and then you're stuck sitting there, and you want to, you let your family know that you're going to be late, or maybe you want to, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm going to work on this report while I'm sitting here, or, things like that. So you definitely just want to, whenever you can, just make sure your laptops and phones are charged to the fullest. That always helps. And I also want to remind you to remember gum. Oh my goodness. I know for me, not only for the ear popping that helps on flights, but also, when I'm working with site staff, or, even on the plane, I'm a coffee drinker. So I do not want to blow anyone away, with coffee breath. And I'm not trying to be funny, but, I always feel better if I have gum with me. It just helps, with flights and, working with site staff. Also, any medications like Advil, Imodium, Dramamine, of course, any prescription meds, make sure any prescription medications, make sure you have that packed, of course. But things like Advil and Imodium and Dramamine are all things that I've needed on a trip before. And also nasal spray. I use Afro nasal spray, which I know I probably shouldn't use it as much as I do, but things like that are marked up so high at the airport. So, just bring that along. Plus, it'll just make life easier if you have it with you when you need it, for sure. So definitely, make sure to pack those things. Stain remover sticks. I've definitely, of course, if anybody's going to spill something on their clothes, it'll be me. So that has always come in handy. And also, my mom swears by this Downy spray that gets out wrinkles. Like, all you have to do is spray it on there, and it like really gets out the wrinkles. So she found that out when she was on a cruise, actually, and told me all about it. So that's something nice to have too. Again, it probably would have to be in a checked bag, or if you want to pour, or pour some in a smaller container if you're doing a carry-on, because remember the 3-1-1 rule. I'll test you on that later. But those are nice things to have. Definitely the stain remover stick for sure. That's definitely saved me. And also another thing I've done with the don'ts is where I did not check the weather before. And this was early in my career. I'm not that dumb now, but but earlier in my career, I didn't even check the weather. And I went up to Pennsylvania actually, and froze. It was so cold. So I did have an excuse to go shopping and get a really cool jacket. But still, this is something you don't want to have to do because sometimes you don't have the time to do it. And also, again, it gets costly. So just make sure to, check the weather to see if you're going to need a heavier coat. I do always recommend, to bring a lighter weight coat, because even in the summer, even if I'd wear a suit that maybe had a sleeveless shirt under it, that maybe I would take off the coat at the airport and have my sleeveless shirt, it would still get so cold on the plane. So I always recommend just having a jacket. Sometimes I even travel like with a little travel blanket. And then even like little slipper thingies I would have in my bag too, because if I had there were, business casual, but they were, had some open toe area. Some companies are funny with open toes, some aren't, but the one I had, it was okay as long as it was, nice business type shoes. But I would get cold on the plane. So I would put on my little slipper thingies too. So I have no idea what the actual name is for that, but that comes in handy too, so you don't freeze on a flight. And if you have a comfortable pair of shoes, definitely I recommend if you have room to have it so you can just switch them. I've seen lots of people running through the airport. They might have suits on, but tennis shoes or even Croc shoes. They have some of the Crocs have really cute styles that they almost look cute and business-like, but they're really comfortable. So I definitely, recommend having a comfortable pair of shoes, especially when you're having to run to catch your next flight. And it's always fun. I'll just add that funny story where you're trying to run to get to a connection. Then my face is red. I'm huffing and puffing. Like when I get there, I'm like, I look ridiculous. And I'm expecting everybody to have boarded and I'm going to run on the plane. And then I look and there's a whole room of people looking at me and the plane's delayed. So I ran there looking like an idiot and everybody's just sitting there and they see you'd have to see it. It was a nightmare. But it definitely remind me of how I need to get in shape. So when you have to do those runs, you're not huffing and puffing like I was. But I did learn the hard way as far as also packing, if you have room, a mini umbrella. I remember returning, some places you return a rental car may not be in a garage. It may not be in a covered carport, and in Philadelphia where I was, and this again was years ago, it was pouring down rain. I was in an open parking lot and I got soaked. So that, and that was just the start of my trip and I had to connect and everything. So of course people in the Philadelphia airport knew why I looked wet and drenched, but I feel like an idiot when I was connecting because then they're probably like, why do you look like that? But so ever since then I got my little mini travel umbrella, fit that in, and it has come in handy so many times. So I definitely recommend packing that with your stuff. And for the females out there, it's always nice to have feminine products with you when you need it. That definitely comes in handy. You want to be without that. Also, I wear contacts. So, and sometimes glasses, it just depends. But because I wear contacts and I cannot drive without glasses or contacts. So, if I'm going on a trip with my contacts only, it's nice to have a spare pair just in case there's a scratch or a tear. And then you're stuck. I won't be able to drive. So, a spare pair of contacts, or even if you want to wear your contacts and bring your glasses just in case, that's always good to do, especially if you have to have them to see. So definitely don't be stuck there. And I had to do that. I had to do that on a trip. Actually, I had to find an eye doctor. They had to, I was able to buy one pair of contact lenses for them. But of course you have to worry about them calling your doctor, getting your prescription and going through all that when you don't have time. So, bringing that spare pair will save you so much, or even your glasses, like I said. And then, of course, you want to have all the items that you need for your visit. Of course, you'll have study-specific documentation and things like that, and tools that you'll want to bring with you for your visit, but also just simple office supplies that you want to bring with you, like, paper clips, Post-it notes, binder clips. I had a mini stapler and staple remover. It was so cute, and it just just fit, really cute in my bag. And it was such a help because a lot of times you're making copies, to bring, copies of documents back to, your files and, for the master file for the study. And, there's a lot of staples. So having the remover and then you can restaple it right there. And some sites don't have all that near their copier. So it's just nice to have when you need it. And then also, of course, pens, notebooks. If you don't have an app that can take pictures of receipts for your expense reports, then you want to maybe have a separate envelope. So then you can keep all your receipts in there and it'll make it a lot easier when you, put everything together for your expense report. Another embarrassing story is the fact that I didn't always bring cash with me. I was, I either have my corporate card or have my debit card, and I found the hard way, and this is so embarrassing. I did not even have not even a dollar bill. I did not even have $1 in cash with me. And I was in Orlando and I was driving and I thought I had seen, some sort of exit, like last exit before toll. I was like, what? And of course I've passed it by then. And then I look and I'm at a toll booth. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And again, this was many years ago. I mean, now they kind of have like the easy passes you can get with your rental cars now. But at that time, we didn't have that. And I had to have cash and I about died. And I'm scrounging for change, just trying to come up with anything. And of course, there's a big old long line coming behind me. And so I had asked the lady, I was like, can I don't know, write a check, for $1, and I thought maybe she just let me slide. Oh yeah. No. She let me start writing a check. By this time, the line was like so long behind me. This guy comes walking up. He slaps $1 down on this metal, on her counter, slaps $1 down and goes, here. And I about died. And I was like, thank you, sir. But it taught me from then on out, make sure you have cash. Sometimes there's toll booths, again, some rental cars now have the Easy Pass that you can go and it'll do a separate charge to like your corporate card or whatever the reservation's under. And then sometimes there's site parking lots. I had even parking lots at sites that they did not take cards and you'd have to have cash for that. So, so you just want to have cash on hand. And I learned too that some toll booths aren't just $1, $2, or $3, or 75 cents. Some are actually more expensive because I had a site in Staten Island. I flew into Newark, crossed over the bridge. It was $13, $13 to cross that bridge. So thank the Lord I had the cash, but so just kind of just a little tidbit, just a reminder of that. And again, as technology increases and, some of these things might not be a problem for you that were a problem for me because of how long I've been doing it. Which right here's another example is directions. Now we have our Google Maps, we have that, which is amazing. I don't know how I made it without it. I used to print out MapQuest directions and I don't even know how I made it. Thank the Lord I'm alive. Thank the Lord I'm here. I don't know how I did it because sometimes the MapQuest directions would tell you to turn the wrong way. Because I remember, I was like, no, it told me to turn this way. The site's the other way. And there's no, when you have, a paper directions, there's no recalculating your route. You're stuck. You have to, go back the way you came and, try to figure things out from there. So, but then as I started getting into having a smartphone and using Google Maps, I would lose cell service. I remember driving in Philly, freaking out because I lost cell service and I had no idea where I was. But I just kept driving and thank the Lord I got the service back and, figured out, how to get to the airport from there. So, and now Google Maps works great for me. Now that I've, years have gone by and as the smartphones have been out for so long, I don't have a problem with Google Maps now. So it's completely awesome. And like I said, I don't even know how I did it before. So definitely Google Maps is good. Now, if you don't want to use data, which that I kind of went into that too. I'm on a family plan, so I didn't want to always use my data. Sometimes when I would go to, the rental car companies, I would ask them, they usually have GPS or navigation that you can get from them. And usually your company's fine with that. I mean, definitely confirm if they reimburse at your company. Even if not, I remember one time at a company, at first they didn't. And I was like, well, I guess I'll pay that part out of pocket because I have to know where I'm going. And, but then soon they did start reimbursing for it. So just like I've said, before, just always being familiar with your company travel and expense policy. But, so that's my my discussion on GPS and navigation, but with so many apps out now and things like that, usually you guys are, we're pretty good to go. So, and gosh, I suffered with MapQuest. I can imagine people years before me that just had to read road maps. So definitely technology has come a long way. But I do recommend, speaking of phones, is to make sure to put your travel department's phone number, as well as site contact information in your phone. Save that in your contacts. I had travel saved in my phone because, if there's misconnections, travel delays, you want to make sure that you can call them directly. Just pull it up, call, and you might not be able to pull up your laptop and pull up the number. It's already in your phone. Go ahead and do it. Usually there's a 24-hour number. That way, if you have issues, somebody can help you reschedule your travel. And the same thing with, site contact information. I might be, driving to the site and you can't predict, if God forbid there's an accident, you're stuck in traffic, you can't predict, that happening. So you might, the best practice is to call the site and let them know you're going to be late. You're stuck in traffic. And you know what? You can't reach over and pull that laptop out and open it up, to see what their number is. So have all this already saved in your phone. So then all you have to do is just, pull out your phone, make a quick call to let them know, that you're on your way, you're stuck in traffic and you'll be there. So those are good things. And lastly, you want to always keep your calendars up to date. Sometimes there's study calendars, where everybody on the team will put their site visits. But usually for me, we used pretty much at the CROs that I've worked at, we've used Microsoft Outlook. So we would have our Outlook calendars, and you always want to keep those up to date, usually with your travel time, as well as your visit time, your visit dates, because for one, it helps in scheduling meetings, because you don't want people scheduling team meetings or scheduling meetings with you if you are out of the office. So that way people won't schedule during that time, but also for safety purposes as well, that people can know exactly where their team is at. I was an in-house CRA when 9/11 happened. And I remember sitting at my cubicle and, I heard, oh my gosh, I heard about the first plane hitting the tower. Then I heard about the second plane, hitting the other tower. And it was just, awful. And they had to scramble around trying to, make sure they could find, where all of our monitors, all of our CRAs were at. So, thank God they were able to, locate all of the on-site monitors at the time. But so you just want to make sure that, you keep this up to date for safety purposes as well, just so we know where everyone is at, if they need to. And it's also a good idea to let your family maybe, have a copy of your itinerary just in case they can't get to you on your phone. That way they know where you're supposed to be. If they can't get to you on your phone and they need to reach you, they can know what hotel you're at. They can know what flight you're expected to be on and things like that. So it's always good to have. And also, a tip that came to mind actually that I didn't have on my list to share, but it came to mind is, if you have a rental car, usually what we do is, you have to fill it up before you return it. So you're not charged astronomical prices for them to refill the gas. So, but if you're in an area that, I've had it where I've been in a not so safe area and you're kind of nervous pulling over, getting gas, your safety is the most important. And I can't imagine, and any company I've worked at, it's always been the same. Your safety is the most important. So if that is the case, let your manager know, like, hey, I didn't feel safe enough to pull over and get gas at that location. And, they may have you put a comment on your expense report of why it wasn't filled up. But no matter where you go, no matter what you do, your safety is of the utmost importance. And if you don't feel comfortable, don't do something. So, so that's that. So, these are the big things. I know I kind of rambled on, but these are some of the big things that came to mind that I wanted to share and regarding to travel tips. And I know I had some stories and you probably thought, gosh, how did that girl make it all these years? I was just telling you things that went wrong. And I haven't even shared the stories of where I fell getting off a plane. I'm just kidding. I won't tell all those stories, but honestly, but most of the travel went amazingly well. I mean, it's not always bad stories and it's not always delays. Some travel can go so smooth, and especially as you gain status, like I talked about before, when you gain status too, travel is even that much better. So, I don't want to scare you either. Travel's not bad. I just wanted to bring up things from my experience, that could help you. I also generated a travel tip sheet that you can download for free at thecrahelper.com. So check it out. Also, if you haven't done so yet, click subscribe for new episodes and updates. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Until next time.